Episode 13 is where we're at now.
Yeah.
They say unlucky for some.
Not unlucky.
Not, it's just silly, isn't it?
Rubbish.
I mean, how can a podcast be unlucky? That's just crazy talk.
This being our last podcast.
Yeah. At the end, we'll have somebody else doing a voiceover saying, and Glyn and David died in a podcast-related incident.
Yeah.
They're only identifiable by their dental records. That could happen. It probably won't happen.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. If it does, please feel free to add that voiceover. As I say, it's episode 13 of the More Than Mostly Comedy podcast. Just one interview tonight.
Just one?
Yeah, just one, but it's a good one. It's with James Acaster, so that's a good person to be interviewing. We didn't have time to interview Nish, who was here. Nish Kumar as well was on this evening. We just didn't have time. It wasn't personal, but it's fine because he was on. Let me just check. You keep talking, Glyn.
Yeah. When was he on? When was he on? You're talking about when he was on the last on the More Than Mostly Comedy podcast?
Yeah, I'm trying to scam read it now.
Scam reading it. He's not really reading it.
No.
He's just scam reading it. It's a
scam.
Do
you know, it doesn't matter. He was on one.
So listen to fairly recently, so you can just go back through our list of podcasts and find him talking.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
It'll be listed on iTunes. You'll be able to find it. It's fine. You don't have to listen to them all and then go, oh, well, he's not, you know he's not on this one.
You'll see it. It's listed. It's there in the title.
So stop complaining in your mind. Before we start and we go on to James Acaster, I need to point out I made a bit of a mistake in the last podcast.
Really?
I gave some information that was incorrect.
What information?
I don't know if you remember we were talking about Diagnosis Murder.
Yes.
I said a couple of lies, which I've now addressed. I said that it ran for about 10 or 11 seasons. Actually 8. My girlfriend picked me up on this. Also, I said it ran from the sort of mid-80s to like the early 2000s. It actually started in 1993 and ended in 2001.
That is so inaccurate.
Also, I corrected you when you said that somebody from Happy Days was in it. And I sort of implied that there wasn't. There was someone from Happy Days. Yeah. I was thinking about a guy who was in Grease. Who played. Yes. Whereas, is that the Grease character? Or is
That's the character from Happy Days.
That was my mistake. I assumed that was the character in Grease, which is
well.
Norman Briggs play. He's one of the guys in the the bit with the car and stuff. He's one of the main guys in it. So I'd like to apologise to any fans of Diagnosis Murder, any fans of Dick Van Dyke, any fans of Grease, Happy Days, anyone who worked on the team, and you as well. You're last on the list. I'm going to get through everyone else. Anyone who worked on Diagnosis Murder between 93 and 2001, and also Murder 101, the series that followed it. I gave him incorrect information. I'm sorry. I hope it won't affect your enjoyment of either this podcast or any of Dick Van Dyke's various pieces of work. So I'm sorry about that. I'm very, very sorry. I'm sorry that I lied.
Well, you should be.
I know. But I did my research. I looked it up.
And I'm glad that your girlfriend picked you up on that as well. Really glad, because you deserve to be sorry for that very wrong information that you gave.
Just misinformation. It's just lies, and I acted like I knew about it. I thought I was a fan. I didn't even know that it ran from 93 to 2001.
It makes me doubt all those Beatles facts.
It makes me doubt everything. I doubt
those Wings information, the Paul McCartney information.
I know nothing. I've been panicking. First time I met you, I said I was a fan of the Beatles. I panicked. I've sort of like every time before I've met you, I've done a lot of research quickly just to learn a fact to bring it in.
Yeah.
And also, I'm just a confidence trickster. I just sort of say it with confidence.
Yeah.
And, I say to you that, I don't know, Paul McCartney played bass left-handed.
Yeah.
And
then I go away, and then I tell people these things, and I wonder why they look at me strangely.
And this is why I was afraid. I was afraid that if I didn't correct the mistakes I made about Diagnosis Murder, that you might be just confidently going into situations and talking about how, whatever it was, that it started in the mid-80s.
Yeah.
And I was lying. And you were lying without even knowing. And that's why I felt I had to address this and put it right. So
I'm glad you did.
I hope we're clear on that now.
Yes.
Question anything I say, basically, on the podcast. Do your own research. Make sure that I'm not lying to you. But anyway, now we have an interview with James Acaster. It's our only one in tonight's podcast. We should start off by pointing out we talk about Mad John quite a lot. We should explain who Mad John is, really.
Yeah, he was a heckler who appeared at I think it was our third Mostly Comedy.
He didn't appear, he walked in.
I say appear.
It wasn't like a sort of incantation.
Yeah, it wasn't magic. It was he's just a real person. He came into our third Mostly Comedy, wasn't it? Second Mostly Comedy that we ever did at the George in Hitchin, to put it into a place that it was.
Look on Google Maps. We're at the Market Theatre now. Look at the George
in Hitchin. And he came in and basically heckled his way through the whole evening.
And I mean, he's the sort of person. I mean, he suits the name Mad John in the sense that he's just a little bit out there.
Yeah.
I remember saying after and he basically just affected the whole show. We just basically all talked to him rather than do any material. And I remember recounting then the story when I used to be in my band Big Day Out, And we played a gig, and he was doing the same sort of thing, heckling then. And I thought I had it in control, and I saw him, and he looked at me, he eyeballed, and he had 2 ice creams in his hands with cones, and he just slammed them both on his forehead and carried on dancing. That was the moment when I realised I was out of my depth here.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can say. This man is prepared to just stick ice cream straight, like brain freeze with ice cream.
Did he do it while kind of staring at you?
Yeah, it was purely for me, purely for my benefit. I don't even know, how would you buy 2 ice cream cones? Because how do you hand the money over? Because you get given them, and then you'd have to have somebody else giving you the money. I don't know. Maybe he put one on his head before.
It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort to go to just to kind of eyeball you and then slam him onto your face.
Yeah, onto his face, not my face.
Sorry, your
my
face.
Just to clarify, just in case again anyone was there and want to discount my story.
Yeah, do I believe you? Not sure.
I promise you, it's true. 93 to 2001. Okay, are we clear?
Okay. Clear.
So yeah, that's Mad John. Let's explain that. Sit back. I always say this. I'm not going to say this now. Don't sit back. Stand really uncomfortably and listen to this.
Here we are with James Acaster.
What's happening?
Hi guys.
Yeah.
How you doing? You all right?
Good, thank you. Good to see you both.
Yeah, and you.
We were saying that you played the second ever Mostly Comedy,
yeah,
which was back in 2008, I think it was.
What was the lineup?
You. Trent, Stav Black, Spanx Ballet, maybe.
Quite often at that point.
And us.
Mad John.
Yeah, it was Mad John.
John night.
Yeah,
you just took the whole thing over, didn't you? Really?
We were talking about that earlier because it was all about that. The whole night was about him.
Yeah.
So it sort of worked. From an outside point of view.
I felt bad about it afterwards. I felt bad. I was a new comic, and I thought that you deal with audience members by just going straight. I'd seen Kitson call an audience member a cunt, and it go really well. And I thought that's how you deal with hecklers. So I called them cunts, paedophiles. I didn't say I was going to rate them by accusing of calling them rapists. There's all sorts of awful things that I would just throw at them because I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. And even though I'd never say that in my normal life, but I hadn't learnt that yet. I hadn't learnt that you got to deal with them in your own way. So I was like, you can't. And everyone was loving it. So I just keep on saying he was a pedo and all that kind of stuff. And then I remember being in the car on the way home with Trent and just going, I'm not sure I should have said that. And then like for months afterwards, I'd occasionally bring up Mad John to Trent and go, I don't think I should have said that, Trent. And he'd go, no, you shouldn't have said that. Yeah. I go, right, okay, that's a lesson. That's a lesson learned. But
I don't think you had much choice though, to be fair. Because I seem to remember you started fairly gentle, and then it got,
I wouldn't do that today. I'd deal with Mad John today in a different way, and I'd like to think it'd go better.
Was that quite early on in your gigging life?
Must have been. Yeah.
Because I remember when you.
What month was it? Do you know what month
it was?
November.
First one was in November 2008.
Yeah.
So that would be my first year of stand-up. Started in January 2008.
Oh, you started January that year. Because I remember looking, because I think you contacted us through Facebook.
Yeah.
Actually, it might have been MySpace. Actually, that dates it.
It was a bit.
I remember
MySpace-y,
you put PS
Facebook.
PS. I'm not a dick.
Yeah. I probably did that because I sent loads of emails when I first started. Loads of people on Facebook. I didn't know anyone yet. You have zero contacts when you first start out. I lived in Kettering, so I couldn't just turn up at nights. So I had to find Facebook groups for gigs and just go, oh hi, I wonder if I can have a gig. And sometimes if you could, I think back then you couldn't message a Facebook group. You had to either message the admin or write on the wall. And I would just write on the Facebook wall sometimes like, hi, I'm a new comic, I'd love a gig. And someone called Karen O'Novak, I don't give a shit if she hears this, which I'm sure she won't, but she sent me an email or a Facebook message just saying, so you've been spamming a lot of the Facebook group pages for comedy gigs. Right. This is not on. You're gonna get yourself a reputation for being very annoying before you've even started in stand-up. Right. Just turn up at open mic nights and go to auditions like everybody else does. Right. I'm telling you this out of the goodness of my own heart, and not to engage in a debate with you. And no, I will not give you a gig.
Right, really.
That was, and I know that because I found it again recently. Really? So I remembered it, and I found it again to send to my friend Josh because he loves stuff from back when. So I was like, remember this? Yeah. And I read it to about 5 people that day going, oh, Karen Novak, she sent me this.
Meanwhile, we were saying Hitchin, we knew nobody. Yeah. We'd already used everyone from my school.
We'd literally gone around,
and then you send a message.
Our one comic friend, and that was it. And then it was like, someone else from outside.
Did the only 10 minutes of material we had in the first one. Fucked it. Yeah. So we needed that message from you.
Yeah. And then at that point, we looked at your gigs list, and you had tons of gigs booked. So we were like, fucking hell, this guy's gigging. This is a good,
If not then, certainly soon
after. But it was
after.
because of that
Yeah.
technique
Yeah.
that I was
exactly.
told was annoying.
Clearly, she was
wrong. I was just throwing shit everywhere,
Yeah.
and then got enough that I could start myself up in comedy. When you live, an hour outside of London on the train,
Yeah.
and it's 25 quid a time return,
Yeah.
and you've got a part-time job at a kitchen, and that's it. You've
Yeah.
got to do that.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no choice.
It worked. It worked. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It works. My job now.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I don't really think Karen Novak's doing much in comedy.
I don't recognise that name.
No.
No, I've heard the name.
Yeah,
There we go.
but it doesn't get to me now.
We've had similar instances, but we won't say that on here because it's still quite raw. But we'll
Yeah,
share that another time.
there's
We'll probably
people.
cut this little moment.
There's people.
You started out in bands, didn't you?
Yeah.
Drummer.
Yeah, drummer.
How did the sort of transition to comedy happen? Was it?
The band that I was in that I really loved and wanted that to be the thing that I did, stopped, and I didn't want to form another band.
Right.
I was tired of. I was always the one telling people, I've booked us a practice studio, come here, I booked us a gig, go there, and all this, and feeling, and I'll come up and go, come on guys, I've got some new drum beats that I've made up. Have you got some new guitar riffs? And no, not yet, and whatever. And eventually I was in this band with my friend Graham, who was a hard worker like me, and I was like, this is great, we're both working hard at it. And then when that stopped, I was like, I can't be bothered with more people just going, no, not really. So like, I kind of just, I wanted to do something else, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it's quite a long story how I eventually decided to do comedy, but basically I thought I should go to Kenya and do some aid work there.
Right. Okay.
And then I didn't go because I couldn't go because there's fighting had broken out and I couldn't do it, and someone had told me try stand up because they'd seen me do a gig. They'd seen me do a stand up gig when I'd done it while I was in the band, but that was just because I was bored. And I did a skydive, I did some stand-up comedy, and it was just so when I was an old man, I could say I did stand-up once, and I'd enjoyed the stand-up gig, but I thought I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't want to do that properly. And then when the band stopped, someone who'd seen me do the gig said you should do that, and I'd actually gone to them for advice to go and go to Kenya. It was a long story. It was a vicar. It was what led to me definitely being an agnostic.
Oh, really?
The whole experience, but it's like the only time in my life I've ever considered. Because my parents are religious, so I knew a lot about call-ins and stuff like that. Yeah. And I felt this very massive thing of go to Kenya. You got to go to Kenya. You got to do it. And I didn't want to. I was too scared. But it felt like it wasn't me. And I was like, it feels like a religious thing. I don't really want to think about anything like that really. So I went to give blood to balance my guilt out. I thought I'll give blood. I'll feel better. And I went to give blood, and my friend Matt was there who. I hadn't seen in ages, and I was chatting to him, and I said, let's hang out after this, let's hang out. And he was like, well, I'm actually going to, my kid's got a church service, I'm going to go to that, do you want to come to that? And then we can just go, it's only half an hour. So I went there with him, and the whole service was about all the stuff I've been thinking about, and I was like, I can't handle this, I don't like this, this is really... So then afterwards I went up to the vicar and was like, have a chat with you about something, because I feel like I'm being told to go to Kenya, and I'm not really sure about this kind of stuff. And I had a chat with him, and he basically just went, what skills have you got to take to Kenya? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, you're a builder, you're going to build houses and wells. And I was like, I can't, I'm not a builder, but I'll go and I'll help people. He was like, well, you all big on organising, big teams of people to do stuff. Could you be I was like, well, no, not really. It's like, what can you do? What talents have you got? And I was like, I'm a drummer. And he went, right, this is going to sound bad, but I think they've got enough drummers in Africa. I don't think you need to go there. I was like, okay, mate, back off. And then he was like, look, I don't think you. I think if you go there, you're going to be another white person eating twice as much as they do and eating up all their food. And you're not going to be very much skills there. It's going to be something for yourself.
Just be a hindrance.
And he went, I saw you do comedy a few months ago. Maybe you should do that.
Right.
So I started doing that, but I did go. But he completely drained any enthusiasm I had for thinking that there was I kind of went, oh, he's kind of made me not. I was like, I'm firmly an agnostic and don't believe anything. But but I did. But then some of my religious friends go, but then you started doing stand up, and now it's your job. Yeah. You're going, I don't think I think this is if I'm going around saying that this is a spiritual calling, I am being a proper bellend. Like this is not what this is. So yeah, I kind of became firmly agnostic and started doing stand up because a vicar told me to.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So that's
the best excuse I've ever heard for doing stand up. That's brilliant.
And how did it feel like going from, because obviously you used to be in a band and stuff, and even if you were sort of driving the band, to then do a thing when you're on your own and doing stuff. To
begin with, I was just completely. The first 6 months was horrible, and I was gigging all the time because I was making myself gig all the time because I felt I got to throw myself into it. I didn't want to be sitting around bored, but I was so much down, and I'd have a month of it going well and a month of it going awfully, just alternating like that, and I wouldn't understand either way because you're learning from scratch. I was like, I knew how to play drums. I was teaching drums, and now I just don't know how to do something. I'm doing something I haven't got a clue how to do it, and I thought, no, mate. You're not really thinking that I can make my friends laugh, but you are like, I've never understood what makes people laugh. You just realise I've never understood it. I didn't go on a course or anything, so it's like, this is proper, I don't know what is funny, and I'd go on and improvise a lot of the time. I wouldn't repeat material, and I just didn't understand it, and it took me about 6 months to get a routine I liked that would work consistently, and then I was able to get my teeth into it and go, right, why does this work all the time, and what is it about you that makes this routine work? And then my main thing was just focusing on myself and not other people, and what makes me funny, because I was just, otherwise I was all at sea.
I mean, I remember very early on you coming here intending to do an hour, and it was one of like the first times you done an hour. It wasn't like leading up to Edinburgh or anything. And I remember I think you were on the same night as David Trent. And you really wanted to do that, but then it didn't really happen because Leon was in the audience and you were sort of talking to him, and you ended up not really doing
improvised for most of it.
But you could see the passion there of you really desperately wanting to do it and going, oh fuck, I'm not going to get to do the hour I wanted to try out. And it was. Yeah, it's brilliant.
But it's my own fault. I wasn't getting heckled. I was just getting distracted by things. I was just going into stuff.
Do you think that was still a good training for you, though?
Oh, yeah. I remember you sent me the video of that, and I watched it, and I was actually like, I actually like this. It's actually all right. I kind of found it quite funny, and I picked up on a lot of my mannerisms and how they were different when I improvised, how I talk different to them.
Yeah.
When I did rehearse stuff, I was like, I think I'm funnier. Just the way I am and the way I hold myself is funnier when I'm improvising, so I've got to learn to speak like that. A bit more and whatever,
Teaching yourself to act like yourself.
Yeah.
It's sort of bizarre concept.
For a lot of it, definitely.
And I know Glyn went to see possibly your first Edinburgh. Was your first Edinburgh with Nick and Josh?
Nick and Josh.
The amazing transformation from that year, I think 2009, when I turned up, and I think I'd read that you guys were doing a show together, like on the outskirts of Edinburgh somewhere. Me and my wife Kelly, and a friend of ours, we turned up and there was no one else there.
No.
And we got there and when you went, sorry, there's no show, guys. We're not going to do it. From that to like a year later, I think it was, where you're all doing like massive shows, or 2 years later, was it?
2 years later, we were all doing solo shows. Yeah.
But it's incredible to think how quickly that transformation from the three of you in that room.
And wasn't your first conversation with Josh, you called him the wrong name?
Yeah, I fucked it up with him from the very start. I think I don't think he's ever liked me since, but it was like a pretty because I knew James, because we'd had James and Nick at Mostly Comedy, and
this
then
is Josh Widdicombe and Nick Helm, just to explain.
And then Josh, I think you might have mentioned, or someone might have mentioned that Josh maybe wanted to come down and do Mostly Comedy, and I think I just said, "Oh, well, you, Jim," or something. I called him something completely wrong. No,
Jim.
Yeah, really confident. Are you Jim? No, you're Josh. Okay, and then just fucked it up from the start. But he still came and did Mostly Comedy though. So
did the door one.
Great gig.
Yeah, he did.
We all enjoyed it.
But bizarre to think how quickly that kind of went from that sort of gig to.
Oh, those two, I think,
brilliant.
It's great now seeing them both just on TV all the
time.
And it's
all
great.
Three of you.
You've all done
but I'm more happy for them.
Was being nominated for Foster's thing twice? Is that a good thing, an encouraging thing? Is it also a bad thing in some ways? What does it?
Everything's a good thing and a bad thing. I think if you like, it's all in your own head. I think any time I felt it's a bad thing, it's because I'm having a bad gig and it's like a show after I've been nominated, or everyone knows they're going to come and see a nominated show. So if it's going badly in my head, I'm going, it's because they expect all this, that and the other. But actually, if I'd done, when I was doing my first show, which didn't get nominated for anything, that went bad. And I never went, that's because they know I've been nominated. Because that hadn't happened. I had to go, I guess it's not funny tonight. Yeah. So, I think you're always funny or not funny, and I think it's definitely a good thing to be nominated twice. But what's really important is that it's not a bad thing to never be nominated. I think that's something that when people get really caught up in nominations, it's normally, if they don't get nominated, they might think, oh, fuck, that's awful. But actually, no one cares. No one cares. If you get nominated, it can help you. If you don't get nominated, it doesn't mean anything. It's not going to hinder you at all. You're fine. Yeah. So I think they get blown out of proportion, definitely. But it's nice to have a little bit of a nod. And I mean, maybe for someone like me, up until that, like it was my second year in Edinburgh. The first year had gone well, but I hadn't got nominated for anything. The second year, I was struggling for numbers for most of the run. So the nomination really helped go, okay, he's relevant still in a way. But, like, who's to say whether I needed it or not? I mean, you never know what would have happened otherwise.
Yeah. We probably should end there,
yes.
we?
Yeah, thinking that's a sign.
See you later, guys.
See you later.
Yeah. Thanks, James.
Weirdest ending ever?
Yes.
Weirdest ending ever to an interview.
It was like we all kind of, and we did. We all kind of sprinted out of the room.
It's like we were waiting for a bus, and the bus came.
Yeah, it's like, go, bye!
Yeah. Very strange.
Yeah.
But so that was James Acaster. Do check out his show. It was great. We saw it tonight. He's one of our favourite acts here. He really is very special. And I mean that in a good way.
Well, so special, in fact, that he was the only comedy act we've ever had at Mostly Comedy that I've let stay at not just my house, but my parents' house.
And it's worth pointing out at this stage that Glyn is the sort of person who doesn't even let me round his house.
No, I don't think you've ever stayed.
I don't think I've ever been in your house. I don't think. Generally, we work. I'm outside the window.
Yeah.
You don't let me in.
No.
It's like sort of segregation, but it's not a racist thing. It's just Glyn doesn't like anyone who wasn't born of his parents or in his family.
No.
So
No.
So yeah, but for some reason, James Acaster, who's someone that we only met through the internet, as we've said in our interview, you let him in your house.
I did. I don't know why.
Was it
very
sexual?
Strange. There was a little bit of sexual sort of.
What actual? Did something happen? Did you consummate it?
I can't comment on that. Not on a podcast.
You just give me a little wink if you did. He just winked, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So there we go. So that's James Acaster. As I say, there's no other interviews now. We didn't have time.
No.
We could leave like a 10-15 minute silence.
Yep.
Where you could do your own interview with the people you're with at home, but
we could pretend. We could make up an interview. We could interview each other. I haven't got any questions, so
no. And who am I?
You could be David Ephgrave and I could be Glyn Doggett, but
okay.
It would be awkward because
you could use the same. How about we try using the same questions I wrote down for James Acaster? So I'll interview you. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'll do, I'll replace James with Glyn.
Okay, go for it. Yeah.
So Glyn, you were a drummer in a band before you started doing comedy. What made you sort of make the transition into comedy?
It's a tricky one.
Yeah. Bear in mind, I've got 6 questions here.
Really? So am I answering these? Hang on, wait.
You're answering as you. As me. I'm using James's questions for you.
And I have to make these work for me.
Yes.
I was a drummer in a band.
Could you give us a drum beat now? Using the surfaces around you.
Sort of.
I think I can see why you went into comedy. Also, you played the second ever Mostly Comedy. This is true.
Yeah, I did.
How far into your comedy career was that?
It was my second gig.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
good.
Absolutely true.
I put Mad John in brackets just as a reminder.
Yeah.
When you first contacted me to play Mostly Comedy in a Facebook message or MySpace message, you said, "P.S. I'm not a dick." That's not a question; it's just a statement.
I don't remember that. But yes,
no,
yeah,
that's fine. We did doing 3 of them, 2 of them. No, that's bollocks. When you did your first show, your first solo show, having done various shows, with the show you did with Nick Helm and Josh Widdicombe. When you did your first solo show, did that feel like a big step?
It really did feel like a big step. Having worked with Nick Helm and Josh Widdicombe at Mostly Comedy, at separate times, to do a solo show without them, which is technically what I did.
Yeah. You're making this work. This is good.
It was a big step for them not to be there. They weren't there.
You're like a politician. You're making this. You're not lying.
No.
I also put "woman in loo." That's irrelevant. That's an anecdote that you will remember. Yeah. Trivia. I've put only at the Stays and Houses. You've said that. Yeah. Final question. Well, no, two more questions.
Okay.
You've been nominated for the Comedy Award twice. Was that as bad as it was good for you? Was it?
It would be good. It would be good. It would definitely
happened.
Not be bad if that happened.
It'd be weird if it happened this year. You're not in Edinburgh.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I don't know how that would happen.
You'd have to be fucking good
to
be nominated for the Comedy Award when you're not even in the city or even in the country,
potentially,
which by then may not even be part of Britain.
No.
So, final question. You're currently recording a series for Radio 4. How's that going?
In my head, amazing.
Brilliant. Okay, so that's our additional interview there. We did very well with that. That was interesting.
That was it. Yeah.
I feel like I learned. We laughed and we learned.
Yeah, we did.
Mostly learned. Really. I was going to say, also just to let you know, if you do want to listen to Nish Kumar's other interview, just to feel like you're having the proper experience tonight, it was episode 9.
9, okay.
Episode 9.
Okay.
There's lots of other episodes you can listen to. They're all free on iTunes. Interviews with Phil Jupiters, Phil Kay, Sean Hughes, Norman Lovett, Kevin Eldon, lots of people.
Lots of big people as well.
Yeah, some of them are smaller people, but they're all equally famous.
Yes.
This was episode 13. Thank you for listening. Hopefully see you at next month's Mostly Comedy if you listen to this in real time, which features David Trent, Foster's nominee. David Trent, obviously you being a Foster's nominee as well.
Yeah, we
you know what that feels like. And Ed Gamble as well, his first appearance Mostly Comedy. Thank you for listening. Just before we go, just to remind you, 8 seasons of Diagnosis Murder. It ran from 93 to 2001, and the guy from Happy Days was in it. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Hopefully have your... I'm not going to say... I always say the same stuff.
I'm just going to say I'm going to go and look that up just to check that he is telling the truth.
Yeah.
And I will report back if it's wrong.
Yeah. Don't trust me. Don't borrow money from me. Just don't. Just avoid me at all costs.
Really do. Avoid David Ephgrave.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. And when I say see, I mean have you listening. Weird ending again.